Hello everyone, in this lesson we are going to learn about the adjust feature in CapCut. First, let's tap on edit and find adjust. Tap on it. Now we are on the adjust panel. The first feature here is auto adjust. Let's tap on it and see the effect. As we can see, when we add this effect, the colors change, everything becomes brighter. And at the bottom there is the adjust bar. We can increase or decrease the strength by dragging the slider to the right or to the left. Now let's move on to color match. This is a very useful feature. To use color match, first we need to select a target image. There are two ways to do this. The first way is to select a frame from your video as the target image. For example, I'm going to slide through the video and select this frame. Type apply to confirm. Now it will clone the colors from this frame and apply them to the rest of the video. At the bottom there is the adjust bar, which we can drag to adjust the intensity of the effect. The second way is to upload a picture from your phone. For example, let's choose this image. And you will see that it adds a lot of yellow to the video. Again, we can adjust the intensity by dragging the slider at the bottom. If you do not want to use this effect, simply type to reset. Next, let's talk about the color correction. Type on color correction. Once you tap on it, you will notice that the overall tone of the video changes. For example, the blue becomes pure blue and the green turns into a pure green. The software works by restoring the colors to their original richness. It enhances the video by bringing back the original tone of the colors. We can see that the overall richness of the video clip has increased. At the bottom, there is an adjust slider. We can slide to adjust the intensity of the effect. Okay, let's move on to brightness. With this feature, we can decrease the brightness to make it darker or increase to make it brighter. For example, I'm going to increase the brightness to brighten up the image. Now let's talk about the contrast. When you increase the contrast, the bright parts get brighter and the dark parts get darker. If you decrease it, the image will look flat or gray. Usually, we increase the contrast a little bit to make the image more dynamic and dimensional. Next is saturation. When you increase saturation, the color becomes more vivid. Red becomes redder, greens become greener. If you lower the saturation, the colors becomes more muted and greenish. Usually, we can increase the saturation a little bit to make the image to look better. Now let's move to brightness, or we can call it exposure. This adjusts the overall light in the image. If you lower it, the image gets darker, and if you increase it, it gets brighter. We do not adjust the brightness too much, but sometimes we make a little bit adjustment to improve the overall contrast. Next one is sharpen. When you increase the sharpness, the image becomes clearer. If the image is blurry, increasing sharpness will help to make it more defined. Usually, we can add a need sharpness to enhance the clarity of the blur images. After sharpen, there is a clarity feature. It is more or less the same like sharpen, so let's just skip it. Now let's dive into the HSL feature. This feature is quite important in color grading. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. Hue refers to the color itself, like red, green, blue, and so on. Saturation adjusts the intensity of the color. Lightness adjusts how bright or dark the color is. For example, let's adjust the green hue. If we increase the green, the image turns more vibrant green. If we reduce it, it becomes more yellow. Now let's look at the saturation. If we reduce the green saturation, only the green parts will become more muted. If we increase it, the green parts will become very rich. Now let's move on to lightness. If we decrease the lightness, the green becomes darker. If we increase it, the green becomes brighter. This HSL feature is quite important. Please practice more to master it. If you want to cancel the adjustment, just type to reset. Next, let's talk about the graphics. In the graphics adjustment, we have 4 parameters: white, red, green, and blue. Let's start with white. When we tap on the white graphic, it adjusts the overall brightness of the image. We can add adjust points on the graphic. Now let's move it up to make the image brighter. Then move it down to make it darker. This is actually a very typical graphic setting. Just move the bottom part down to darken the shadows and the top part down to brighten the highlights. Usually we do not increase the contrast too much, but we can use this method to get a more dynamic look of our image. Now let's talk about the individual colors. Tap on the green graphic. Add 1 point to make it brighter. Then add another point to make it darker. The same goes for red and blue graphics. If you want to adjust the overall image at one time, you can just type to adjust the white graphic. Next is highlights. This adjusts the brightness of the lighter area of the image. Let's increase the highlights to make them brighter, and decrease them to make them darker. Please keep in mind that it only affects the brightest areas of your image. Next is shadows. Let's try to brighten up or darken the shadow areas. Generally speaking, these shadows is for us to adjust how light or dark the shadow parts are. Next one is whites. Let's try to brighten or darken the white areas. Generally, this white feature is for us to adjust how light or dark the white parts are. Next one, blacks. It's more or less the same as shadows, so let's just skip it. Then let's talk about the temp. If you increase the temperature, the image will become warmer. And if you decrease it, the image will become cooler. Next is fade. This is similar to reducing saturation. It fades up to colors, giving a vintage or washed out effect. Now let's move on to vignette. This adds a shadow effect to the corners of the image. We can drag the slider to the left to lighten the corners, or we can drag the slider to the right to darken the corners. It is commonly used in documentaries to focus attention on the center of the screen. Finally, let's look at green. This feature adds texture or particles to an image. By dragging the slider to the right side, we can see many particles appear in our monitor. This feature is designed for special effects. If not necessary, do not use it too much, or it will affect the clarity of your video. For the video and the picture of demonstration used in this lesson, I will attach it. Please download and practice. So that's all for today's lesson. Thank you for watching and see you in the next lesson.